right before I drive away to forget. Why do I give a damn after everything we set up?
G'day guys, Chaos Chronicles. Alright, so I've got this little clip here that I seen and I thought it was really interesting considering the last week I've been talking about drugs in prison, my drug use and whatnot. And yeah, I thought this would be quite an interesting watch and quite a few of you might enjoy it. So check this out.
Sniffer dogs play an important role inside our prisons, but there's a powerful drug being smuggled in that's having deadly consequences for the canine unit. Now, in an Australian first, officers are turning to a special spray that offers the dogs protection.
So just keep in mind, I did not know none of this, and yeah, it quite literally blew my mind. So yeah, check this out.
Sniffing out what is now the most popular drug in our jails, but it's also the most deadly substance for detection dogs on the front line.
Our main item we're finding lately is Suboxone strips, which is an opioid.
Otherwise known as?
Buprenorphine, but Suboxone is the actual brand name.
It's a $30 prescription medication, but sells for up to $1,800 a strip on the inside.
There you go. And so since I've been to prison, it's gone up $800. And somebody, they made it sound like that thing there cost them $30. That is not true. You can get 4 of them a day off the chemist for $30 a week. So 4 of them a day, 4 times 7 is 28 strips a week. So that's pretty crazy, and you soon build up a number, and yeah, people find a way to get this in and make a lot of money.
Like a Listerine strip that goes under your tongue, so as soon as they touch moisture or liquid, they dissolve.
So if a dog's wet nose touches Bupe,
it can be fatal, death. Just by touching the mucous membranes on a dog's nose, it can be absorbed immediately into the system.
Across the state, we're finding upwards of 100 strips a week easily.
A huge source of anxiety.
100 strips a week, and that's only what they're finding. So 100 strips a week, that shows how serious this problem is, and I've been trying to tell people, and this just illustrates that perfectly.
For the canine unit handlers who invited us to see the dangers for ourselves during a raid at Francis Greenway Correctional Complex near Windsor.
What are some of the other places that you're finding them in as well?
So we find them everywhere from hidden inside tea bags to inside seams of books to sewn inside towels and jackets and pants.
In an Australian first, New South Wales
So I'll tell you guys, there was a time when this was so easy to get in. So at the start when they first swapped over from pills to the strip, Listerine style strip, it dissolves as soon as it hits water. And yeah, so it was pretty easy to get in. I'll say one way that we're getting it in, and it's the only reason I'll give this one up is because it got caught out a long time ago. But you know the yellow envelopes, the orangey yellow envelopes? So yeah, people were just unsealing those with a steamer or a kettle even, and then just putting the strips on the seam of those and sending them in. And because they open them at the top, they don't open them like that, they were just getting through so easy.
Handlers have secured a life-saving nasal spray for their dogs which blocks opioid receptors, a relief for Katie and her best mate Skip.
If he ingests it, that could kill him. So having this makes me feel much, much safer. He's everything to me. He's my 5'8". He's literally my shadow. And because they're so...
That's what they say in prison as well, that you're 5'8". And I know that that's a rugby term and it's, football term, but the screws you find that very soon start talking like all the crims in prison, and it's pretty crazy because generally they hate us kind of people, but pretty soon they pick up our habits and whatnot and start acting like us.
serving the department and serving you with their whole life and giving you 100%, especially a dog like him that does every day, you'll do anything to protect them. Anything.
Emma Partridge, 9 News.
Well, there you go. Like that actually spun me out. And as soon as I found that out, I messaged a couple of my old mates and said, "Did you know that?" And they were like, "Nah." And they were like, "Had you known that, would you deliberately have like tried to harm the dogs, you know?" And I had to think about it, but like I really wouldn't have. And I guess there was times when I did deliberately do things that I knew would, irritate the dogs, like put chili powder in the floor, everywhere all over the carpet. So wherever they sniffed on the carpet, they were going to get a good sniff of chili powder. And yeah, so I done things like that, and yeah, and also I would like deliberately, like knowing I wouldn't have any bupe in my room if we had plenty of it, I would just get it and like get a strip and rub it everywhere so the dogs would be going crazy in my cell, but wouldn't find anything, you know. But there you go. That just illustrates how much of a problem it is right now, for this Suboxone, the Bupe in prison. And like I said, and I know there's a lot of men and women out there that have done prison, and since they've been in prison, like their drug habits got worse, or people that didn't use drugs, like I know of people that didn't use heroin and that died, never used heroin on the outside and died from a heroin overdose inside. And another thing that I noticed when I was in there is a lot of people that didn't go in there with hepatitis and left with hepatitis C, and I found that pretty crazy. Even though they do have a cure for it now and they can get rid of it, that's this mindset what these people have. It's like, oh well, I can get rid of it so I can share needles with my mates, And I would be like, what if they've got AIDS, you bloody wombat? And like, yeah, people just don't think. And there's plenty of people now that have shared needles in prison that have got AIDS, HIV, full blown. They, from sharing needles in prison. It's just not fucking worth it. There's not an amount of money on this planet you could pay me to take a drug intravenously. Like, I just wouldn't do it. It's that against my character. And, I've seen a lot of people that were like me, but under the circumstances of prison, have left with, drug habits and diseases and, just mental health issues that they didn't have when they got there. And, I think this is something that needs to be looked into. Like, you can't tell me that there doesn't need to be a royal commission into the police and the corrective services right now. Like, another screw got caught the other day taking his gun out. God knows what he was going to do with it, with a cop the other day that got caught in New South Wales killing his ex-boyfriend and then his ex-boyfriend's new boyfriend, with a police issue firearm. There's been countless, so many of the TOG at the Port Phillip prison lost their job because I can tell you, I've got multiple sclerosis, right? So I'm always to and from getting escorts to and from the hospital. And because I was an A2 asterisk prisoner, I get escorted with guns. And like, so a lot of them prison officers lost their jobs because they did not have a gun license. And they were just hooking them guys up with Glocks and telling them to take hardened prisoners to hospital and stuff. What would have happened if something had have happened there and the cop had to have shot the prisoner? That's murder. I don't care what anyone says. That is murder. If they do not have a gun license and they shoot someone, that's murder. So you can't tell me right now, with all this bullshit that's going on with the police and the corrective services, with all the Bupe and that, screws will openly tell you that they find over 100 strips a week. That's just one prison. So imagine all prisons combined in Australia, it would be like astronomical. Something needs to be done because, um, you know, you're supposed to be going to prison to be rehabilitated, not to need rehab when you leave prison, and that's how serious it is. And you know, it breaks my heart to see good men have to go down that track. You know, and yeah, I really think there needs to be a royal commission into the, you know, our officers, the corrective officers and the police officers. There really, really needs to be something done. All right, guys. Well, there you go. A little insight into the Bupe. It's everywhere, and yeah, don't do jail, and you won't have to deal with this bullshit. All right, Chaos Chronicles,
I
we
am
out.
also the guy who decides if you and your friends walk out of here or not.